Hi, welcome back. Here we are. We are here. We are here to discuss one of our favorite slash not so favorite. We'll see. Mayfair Witches season 2. Cover the Mirrors and Double Helix episodes 3 and 4 respectively. Cover the Mirrors. We're gonna see what this episode brings us to as it kind of delves into the magic, not letting the magic diminish. So they decide we're going to cover the mirrors so we can make sure everything goes as planned, as well as double helix, delving into the DNA. What is going on? What is in this Mayfair bloodline that makes it so magical? All right, let's get into it. All right, episode 3 of Mayfair Witches, cover the mirrors. Overall thoughts of episode 3.
It comes in at a strong 4.
A strong 4 inches. Strong 4%. What kind of 4?
Hey. I don't know how to respond to that because I have so many random thoughts just floating.
Listen, get into it. Do not hold back because I have my own share of thoughts about this strong 4, and I think you are generous with the strong 4. But also, not the worst of the worst either.
No, it was definitely better than most of the episodes from season 1. It was a little let down from episode 2. I felt that episode 2 was a bit stronger, definitely than episode 1. And I also feel that episode 2 was stronger than episode 3. But Cover the Mirrors for me was kind of bland. Again, I hate to continue to harp on this, but the heroine in this particular story is not it for me at all. She just seems weak. She just seems like people tell her what to do and she does it. Even towards the end of which episode was it? I believe it was episode 2. She had some fire to her, and I was hoping for more of that fire in this particular episode. But old girl, what was her name? What's her name? Moira, like telling her what to do, and man, and you like, I get it. Your sister is in the thrall, and you really want your sister, but I feel like you could have thrown some water on her and woken her up. You know what I'm saying? Wake the hell up! Like, my sister's in this thrall and I need you to get her out. Something like just the way that episode started, it was like chalks on a chalkboard. It was just it irritated me so much. But those are my thoughts about Cover the Mirrors.
I wanted and much like you, to me, it went back to being just kind of like a flat line, especially with our protagonist Rowan in this episode. It's just like, okay, all right, here we go. And yeah, I completely plan to put him down, and all these things. And it's just like the acting is flat. It's not believable. You're supposed to be this person that Lasher is using. You have all these incredible powers when he's nearer to you. And it's just kind of dead on arrival. And so I didn't love that about Cover the Mirrors. It was a little dry, it was a little flat. Not the worst of the worst, but also not the best, just enough to keep my attention, and give me something to say, hey, I would love to see what the next episode looks like. It's just like the witchery is still not there for me in this episode. The one previously was. And so again, being consistent with how you're feeling, like, okay, episode 2 was there, felt like we were heading in the right direction, only the flat line in the next episode, Cover the Mirrors. So I wanted a little bit more. To me, Rowan is just still not believable. Like, it's just kind of boring. It really just is.
Plus, there was something, I was having a conversation with Britt about this. We had a long text thread about Cover the Mirrors, and what I told her was what I did not like was you had some elements from from previous episodes that we see or that we saw in this particular episode. It was finally explained in this episode, but it just jumped out of nowhere. It would have been nice if there was some slow buildup where you understand why something is happening. And they did something quite differently in Double Helix, and I'm going to try to remember to talk about that when we get to Double Helix. But it was a major issue for me right after I watched Cover the Mirrors, because it was like, man, they didn't set this up. They didn't set it up right. Like the storyboard that they put up on the wall, there was no like clear lines. It's so many subplots going on, and it's not like it's a hard thing to keep up with, but the development of the storyline is so weak that it's kind of like, what are you doing? Tell me what you're doing. Like, I could sit down and write a better story than this.
Like, and speaking of writing a better story, I feel like Interview with the Vampire gave us everything that we wanted, needed, desired, lusted for in an apex predator. And so in Cover the Mirrors, we have an intro to our first crossover with the vampire. And so when this happened, I was like, whoo, all right, here it comes, here we go. Here's the intersection, of the worlds. And so I was excited. And then what they delivered was lackluster. It was honestly.
It's like when you're trying to have sex and somebody comes before you start.
Right, it's a premature ejaculation. It was flaccid. It was all those things. And so it's just like, okay, whereas I'm glad, okay, you guys are getting there. We're introducing the vampire species, and then you have the accent on the vampire. You have the lack of sexual appeal, because that's very important, at least for me as a vampire buff, when it comes to that drawing you in, like that, hey, oh, I want to have sex with this character, with this person. Doesn't matter if I'm going to lose my life behind it. It's just that amazing and alluring that even if I'm going to die, at least it's going to be with something that's just, it's worth the risk. And so when you introduce this new character to cross over, it was disappointing. I didn't feel that. It was kind of dry. It was kind of flat and a little bit, honestly, rushed for me
Yes.
in this episode.
And that was something else that I was telling Brittany. I said, you know what? They had him when at the same time, Lestat really could have been used. You know what I'm saying? He really could have been used. And there was something else that I brought up with Brittany on. She pushed back. But my point was this: if you have a family full of blacks and whites in one family, everyone is darker than me. Every single one of them. You would expect there to be some variation in the skin tone, but I didn't find that. And Brittany pushed back. She was just like, "Hey, like it's all about the melanin. Let the melanin rule." And I was like, "That's unrealistic. That is hella unrealistic." And I needed to be realistic. And so on so many different levels, it's failing that. This series is failing on so many different levels. This particular episode is failing on so many different levels, even down to the casting choices. Moira, I get the fact that she's supposed to be rambunctious and all of that, and she is. Clearly, she is. There's more fire to her than Rowan, and I appreciate that. But it's also irritating. It's irritating to see. I didn't. It's. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what the commercial appeal to these characters are going to be to the broader audience. You know what I'm saying? Like,
those are fair questions. It's just like, okay, at this point, we can just sit Rowan down and let Moira run the show if this is how we're going to do it. It is disappointing to see. It's like, okay, Rowan, at what point are you going to show up in all of your witchery? And it's just not happened. And so we have in this episode Lasher just kind of going on a spree of, I hate to say bloodlust, but he can't control himself, and he's sitting up here smashing and killing the Mayfairs, and you just don't have a hold on it. You don't. And you kind of letting Moira push you around. You are. You absolutely are.
There's no hold on this piece.
Stop me when I'm wrong. Please cover the mirrors. Cover the mirrors. Because I don't want to see this shit. I don't. It's disappointing. It is disappointing. It is. And
you know what? And I remain disappointed. Speaking of disappointed, I remain disappointed of the character of Cyprian. I wanted so much from his character. I did, especially like when you read the books. I can't remember the guy's name in the book, but clearly they merged Cyprian's character. They took two characters from the book and they merged them. And so therefore, in my mind, Cyprian should have been much more pivotal. But if you really think about it, you can pull that storyline out because it doesn't, like, as of right now, it has no bearing to the main plot. It just doesn't.
It's dry. Like, we've seen a little bit more from Cyprian in season 1. And so now it's just like, you're just kind of a placeholder, if it makes sense. And so it is disappointing to see. Hopefully that will pick up as it goes along, but we don't have very far to go. We are here 50% into season 2 of Mayfair Witches, and it's like, come on, where's the witchery? What is happening? It's like, of course, when we move into Double Helix, it's a little bit better. I did not hate the episode, but again, 50% in, it's like, okay, we don't have that far to go. We don't. And I don't want it to be a colossal waste of my time that I can never recover. So this is something that I love, something that I enjoy. And so where are we? What are we going to do?
You know what? Another thing. Okay, so you've got all of these people in the Mayfair family who are dying, and Lasher had been promised to them to be the second coming, right? Why are Mayfairs dying? Why is Lasher not protecting them? Like, it makes no sense. I understand from a certain perspective that they will put the blame on Rowan. I get that. I get that. But how should I put this? If I knew that Rowan had the power, right? She is the mother of Lasher. I would have been throwing myself at her feet. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't see any of that. I saw all of them second guess her,
annoyed with her,
yes,
bothered by her. But again, like, it just, even as a character, she's just not believable. And so I would do the same thing. Like, okay, what? No, why am I even here? You pulling us all together for what purpose? For what reason? And so she's just not believable. She's not. And so I struggle with trying to understand Rowan's place, Rowan's ability in this whole Mayfair clan, because she's just not a believable character. It's just, you don't even believe in yourself.
True. It doesn't seem like she does. It doesn't seem like she does. I think the only time that she spoke with authority was when she was talking to Cortland. That's it. It didn't matter who she was talking to. She had no oomph behind her. When you read the book, Rowan was a strong, badass. I don't want to cuss, but she was strong. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was strong. Like she knew what she wanted, and she the storyline deviated from what's in the book. I get it. They're mixing elements from the book. and making everything happen in New Orleans. And I appreciate that. It saves money on sets and locations and all of that. That makes sense. I can only assume that AMC said, no, we're not giving you all that money. We gave you the season one. But
Make it work.
yeah, which is why it was like a 2-year hiatus, if you will. But I don't know. They need, even the boy that they brought over, a love affair of Rowan's.
A lark.
They're not doing a whole lot to set him up. If he's going to be her new love affair, that would have been the episode to do it. Instead of some of the other things that we saw in this episode, they could have set that up in episode 3, Cover the Mirrors. By the way, I had to like cover the mirror. Like, I've heard the term, but I had to research it real quick. That's typically something that you do when you don't want a spirit to be lost. That kind of stuff. It would have been great if we saw someone actually cover mirrors, because the fact that I had to research that, it shouldn't have. I should have been able to make.
They glazed over it. And so, as a person from the South, as a person that loves witchery and all the weird things, like even being a Louisiana native, cover the mirrors. That's something here. Hey, if the weather is bad, doesn't matter what it is. Like here, mirrors are portals, right? And so, anytime anything that's going down with weather or anything, we don't want any type of spirits to enter this side. We're covering those mirrors up. It's very important. And so they kind of glazed over it in this episode, like, hey, we don't want to weaken the magic. And they just moved on from it. And so, for the episode to be entitled Cover the Mirrors, they did not do a stellar job of delving into that piece of it. They didn't. It's just like we just made this little comment and then we moved on from it. And so I agree with you. They did not. They didn't address that well. Oh, okay. It'll weaken the magic. We got all the Mayfairs in the house or whatever, which was the point, to try to keep everyone safe from Lasher or whatever. So the magic that we're doing, the spell is going to be weakened. So we need to cover the mirrors. And boom, that was it. I think that was piss poor. It was.
Now, you mentioned earlier, you were kind of like on a rant, but you were like, the acting was bad. When I sit back and I like really think about it, Cortland's acting in this episode was bad. JoJo's acting in this episode was bad. I did not care. Obviously, I didn't care for Ron. I didn't care for Maura. The only person I thought kind of grounded everything was the old black woman,
Dolly Jean.
There we go. She had like some sense of gravitas. You know what I'm saying? And she kind of she brought an energy to the storyline that I think Corey has said it in the past, and I think we all agreed, but still, again, like, she's bringing it when everyone else is, to use your word, flat.
Mm-hmm. Which is insane, because she's a character that didn't even exist in the actual books. So, okay, great job there, but where are you with everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
I do enjoy Dolly Jean. It's just like, okay, well, she got up her sleeve, and a double helix, kind of appreciated where they went with it with her, but I have a question around that when we get there. But yeah.
Well, I think we've trashed Cover the Mirrors enough.
Cover the episode. Cover it in dirt, brimstone, fire, whatever you got to do. Cover that.
I buried that bitch. Cremated.
Try again. But in that episode, we know that Lasher gets taken by the Talamasca. They kind of take Rowan out in that episode, which kind of sets us up for episode 4, Double Helix.
But you know what? Let me ask you a question. To me, it seemed like she was getting herself ready to get rid of her son, right? She was psyching herself up. And then here comes Sip with this pink, purple, whatever. As a mother, it's an impossible place to be in. What are your thoughts about that?
I think from a viewer standpoint, the way it was set up was just not great. But as a mother, I know that was an impossible feat. And so I feel like Rowan hesitated far too long, you know, and to say all of the Mayfairs that you have in the home, all of this power, all of these other things, I feel like the way in which Lasher was captured was just stupid, you know, just seriously. Let's just be honest. It was just dumb. You know, you got Moira, of course, you know, you putting your trust in Cyprian, and so kind of low key working with him. So as a byproduct, you're working with the Talamasca. So whatever, didn't expect you to do much. But you have these lineages right there, along with Lasher in close proximity, which enhances Rowan's powers. For you to go out like that was just dumb. It didn't make sense. You had at least 45 seconds to a minute in which we know.
You know what I thought was funny? Like, if she wanted to, she could have just waved her hand and made Sip fly.
Yes.
But she put her body in front of, like, that didn't make sense to me.
And that's why how that ended was just silly to me. It's just like, okay, now he done put this I dream of Jeannie smoke in your face and you done passed out in the street and they done took Lasher. To me, that was just a little crazy. I don't love the way that played out. But just strictly from a psychological standpoint, as a mother, that had to be hard. You know, you're being pressured from your family members, i.e. Moira. You're dealing with the whole Talamasca debacle. So that can't be easy. And then, you know, Lasher out here murking Mayfair. So that's not easy, but he's still a part of you. So I can understand the hesitation and not want to outright kill him. But even if you did something to at least lure him back into the house, something more than letting the Talamasca just take him. I didn't love that. I didn't love that, especially since you had the power right there to pretty much have your way. Because I don't think the Talamasca could have stopped her. Let me be honest. If she really tried, I don't think they could have just stopped her. I just don't.
No.
And so I don't love the way that played out. I think it was kind of weak. In fact, I think it was very weak.
No. Especially, okay, so here's the thing. So Mara, right? So she made a deal with the Talamasca to get Lasher if Rowan didn't do her part. Okay. So as soon as they take Lasher, right, you still need Lasher to get your sister out, right? You know that Lasher is gone. You know that Rowan's power increases when Lasher is nearby. So therefore, why are you waking up? Why are you not calling the Talamasca to try to get them to bring Lasher back so that she could get her sister out? Like, that would have made the most sense to me, but it's like, I don't know. It's just too many holes, and not in the right places.
And not in the right places. Not in the right places. And now, even in this episode, we have Julian that's been awakened, and that whole mess. It's just like, okay. Wait, was it in this episode?
Julie, oh, that was was it 2 or 3?
3. It was this episode
It
that
was episode 2 when Julie.
Okay.
Yeah, it was episode 2 with Julie.
It's another hot mess. But yeah, so cover the mirrors where we didn't cover nearly as much as we would have liked to. But here we go. All right, let's move forward into Double Helix. All right, when we are strictly dealing in the realm of DNA, we have Rowan that has already dealt with her ex from the past and trying to use him and his connections with his job to research some of the Mayfair DNA to find out more information because she still has that doctor brain working. But they do kind of get into a little bit of her past with Lark and how that relationship dissolved. So I did appreciate them kind of explaining that a little bit just to kind of see how things fell apart and why Lark is just kind of so willing to be at her beck and call.
So you know what? His character, he's another one that who is good at grounding everything, right? Um, his presence made everything so much more believable.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't necessarily get his attraction to Rowan because Rowan seems a man like him would either appreciate a man like him would appreciate someone who's strong, and she doesn't seem to be strong. But his character, and I think it has a whole lot to do with the actor, he brings a lot of seriousness to the role, right? And the interplay between he and Rowan when they were eating, like he made jokes. He was serious at moments. He was able to do a lot where all she was able to do was just be worried and anxious the entire time, and that's getting old. At what point are you going to make moves? And I'm just, I think I need to take Rowan out of the equation and just look at the show by itself without Rowan.
Which is insane because she's an A character. It's crazy. But I
She's
agree
the
with you.
character.
Did you say she is? Lark is believable. And so, especially because what he does is a profession, and you commingle that with all the stuff that Rowan has on going on, bring him into New Orleans, into the Crescent City, it's believable. He's enjoying the city for what it is, but he is still, hey, he has these questions about what's going on with the DNA. He's able to be lighthearted. So I did appreciate Lark's character in this episode. So in this episode, we do have JoJo and Moira's younger sister being stuck in the thrall. So a lot of the episode is
Them trying to
Rowan.
get it back.
Yeah, Rowan trying to figure out how to bring them out of the thrall. We have Cortland. Cortland, there's so many different pieces to this episode that I did enjoy. Especially they kind of touched on the kind of whole transgender thing and then commingled that with being a Mayfair. They had a conversation, like they said it without saying it, but you were able to follow along with JoJo and Cortland. And so I thought that was the interesting thing to place inside this episode, Double Helix. Like you have her going at it before she gets stuck in the thrall. Like, hey, you made me feel safe to feel like who I am. But then, wait a minute, you were really just trying to do it for your own personal gain. So I appreciated that piece being brought into this episode. I thought it was interesting to see played out.
You know what brought to mind like when she said it was like, oh, okay, they're gonna talk about it, right? Okay, so would Lasher go after her?
I'm gonna say no. Because it seemed like Lasher like real bitches. And so
But did you see that moment when he had David, the, the Dolly Jean's sister's son, the one who swung the bat in the bar?
yes.
When he
He
had
said,
him up, it was like he realized, oh, you're a Mayfair, and he put him down. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what would Lasher have done in that moment? Would he have been confused and still did it? Or
look, I did not, I will say, as much as I have to say about this show in a negative light, this episode I did not hate. I didn't hate this episode. There were a lot of different layers to this episode. Do I feel like there's still a lot of holes, a lot of things that are unexplained? Yes. But with this one, there were a lot of great pieces to this episode. And so we know that in the novels for the Mayfair witches, Evelyn Mayfair did exist, whereas Dolly Jean did not. And so what I found interesting was that Evelyn Mayfair was Julian's daughter in the novels. And so I was like, whoa, hold on, wait a minute. Like Cortland always has some crazy stuff going on. And so as I dug a little deeper, I found that consistent was that Evelyn Mayfair still had a paramour that was Julian Mayfair. And I was like, whoa, hold on. Wait a minute. So this is your granddaddy. That's nasty. Okay. And so we created Dolly Jean, for the greater good of the show or whatever. So we got Dolly Jean and we got Evelyn. And so in the Double Helix episode 4 of season 2, we've created this entire love triangle with Julian, Dolly Jean, and Evelyn Mayfair. And so one of the questions that I had was like, okay, did this enhance the episode or was it ill placed? That was my question.
So for me, as someone who read the books, and you know how I am with my memory, what I did remember, and I think I said it on the last episode, there was a lot of incest with the Mayfairs. So seeing that, first of all, it was a shock, right? It was a shock, right? Not because I'm seeing it on television, but the fact that you got this old ass black woman who was still in love with Julian, and then at the same time her sister is also in love with, and they're sharing time with Julian. I was like, what? I was like, this is my life. This is the life that I want. I don't want to share nobody with my sister, but this is the life that I want.
Right. And so that answers my question. It wasn't just ill placed. It did enhance the show, in your opinion.
Yeah.
And so, I love, for me, I feel like it enhanced the show. Like, okay, we know Dolly Jean didn't really exist, but Evelyn did. And so finding all the pieces, that did connect versus the pieces that they created for the greater good or supposed greater good of the show, I enjoyed it. And so even down to the acting with Dolly Jean, when Moira and Rowan walk in and she's kind of in a thrall of her own, or at least you think, before they explain those pieces of what's going on, just her hand placement, the overall acting, it was great to me. I felt like stellar job, again, to your point.
Even how the two sisters had to like connect hands. It's kind of like, I know right now you're in the midst of making love to Julian, but I'm gonna connect to you. I thought that was great. I thought that, yeah, I did.
Right. I agree. Like the witchery, the cinematography, all of that checked out for me in that particular scene, even down to the hair, how it transitioned from, okay, and then they explain that a little bit, like, okay, this is Evelyn's true form. She's really older than Dolly Jean. There's all of that they kind of explain in that moment. And so I enjoyed that piece of this episode. Probably one of my, if not my favorite part of this episode altogether. And so I liked to see that play out, even down to like, hey, wait a minute, you weren't invited. Who told you to come in? You the one that's got the problem. Don't just walk into people's houses and trying to do stuff you don't understand. You're like, no, mind your business, basically. And so I appreciated that. But the whole piece of Julian tethering himself to the record player, I like
The
that.
Victrola. And again, like, I don't know if you remember, but last episode I said like music was a way to keep Lasher out. And that was a way for them to exchange information. As long as music was playing, Lasher couldn't hear what was going on. Even though Lasher loved music, but as long as music was played, he couldn't hear what the Mayfairs were talking about. And she said in this particular episode, Double Helix, anytime that she started reading Mayfair history, the Victrola would start playing.
I appreciated it. Like this is one of my favorite scenes of this episode. Again, did not hate this episode. Again, are there some things I feel like need to be explained a little bit better? Yes, but overall, like double helix as opposed to -4 was more like a 7 for me. I enjoyed this
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, yeah. Even when Mora put her hands on the Victrola and she started saying whatever it was that she was saying,
Council.
yes, yes, yeah. Which is a book that Anne Rice
The
wrote.
third one.
Mm-hmm. 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 I don't remember it. I know I read it. I
I
just right
have it
now in this moment.
somewhere in storage. I have it. I have titles.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think I sent you a picture of it probably like a year or two ago. But yes,
Okay.
I found it at a Goodwill, and I was like, "Oh,
Okay.
what a
Okay.
Mayfair book."
Okay. 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 Yeah, I have to. I guess now I have to go back and well, not now. Maybe when this season is over with, I'll go back and reread it. It's a lot. Like Anne Rice put a whole lot of history, like family history. Like it wasn't like a novel. It was like family history, and every now and then you get characters talking to each other, and they would tell the story, which is why like I don't know if you remember, but in season one I mentioned how I mentioned the fact that what I just shared with you. It would have made more sense if they had started from the past, because I thought the past designees were much more. I don't know what the right word is, but
But what do they say? What's the saying? Past is prologue. You know.
well, there were some motherfuckers. Those past, like, I mean, Ron to an extent was in the books as well, but I felt like the past of the Mayfairs would have felt juicier than the present in my mind. Just
Going back and looking at those family trees, I would be apt to agree with you. Like, whoa.
I
Even
mean, if they wanted to, they could have taken each designee and made a season out of it if they wanted to. And I think that would have been, because yes, they gave some stories, but you could have added to the story that Anne Rice had created for each designee and built on it. You know what I'm saying? And made it much richer. And I think this series would have benefited from that.
they could literally go on for dozens of seasons with as deep as the rabbit hole goes with this um Mayfair Witches saga. Like seriously.
They could have gone deeper.
Let's go deeper. Let's go deeper. Always, always, always.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like we're overlooking like other major parts in this particular episode. Oh, there was something that I did want to talk about. Lark. All right, so this is a spoiler for those of you who who have gotten this far. So this is what Lark finds out. Lark finds out that there is a chromosome that the Mayfairs all share. They all have this chromosome, right? And it's how many chromosomes do humans have? Is it 24, 26? I don't know, whatever it is. But Mayfairs have an extra chromosome. And this extra chromosome is what allows them to have the magic that they have, which enables Lasher to exist.
Mm, I love it. I love the tying in to the science, even though, good Lord, I feel remedial at this point. Um,
Believe it or not, the fact that Ron was a medical doctor was quite significant to the book, or books, I should say. And some of the stuff that Ron did in the books, like when I say she was a badass, I meant she was a badass and she didn't even realize she was a badass. Some of the decisions that she was making when she came into power, she also came into money, and she made business decisions, and a lot of those business decisions were tied to research and medical research. The book specifically talked about Tulane. I guess Tulane didn't want to give their rights, but she did some things that, without knowing it, kind of ended up helping her.
I can believe that. I can believe it. Having that majestic side, and then you have science as well. You know, that's a double threat. And so I'm glad that they incorporate that. Right now, are we seeing the best version of that play out on film? No.
Nah,
We're absolutely not.
nah.
Hope
I think we only saw or heard anything dealing with. No, we just didn't. I'll leave it like that. We haven't. I thought it would have been rich if they had incorporated that more into the storyline, but they haven't. I thought that would have been part of the reason why JoJo would have been significant, but they didn't. They don't seem to want to play with that storyline.
Yeah, it's just like they kind of, Rowan's able to see inside of people and, to some degree heal a bit, but I do feel like it's an undertone. It could be more. So hopefully they pick up on that a little bit more. I'm interested to see how they're going to develop these next few episodes of the season, especially with Rowan, excuse me, want to go into the Ventrola with Julian literally getting in the bed with Satan. I
And
really want to see how that's gonna go because Dolly Jean and Evelyn are like, hey, whereas he's our lover, we take turns with him, busting down on him or whatever. Listen, he's vicious.
until I saw him in the previews say that, like, he basically wants her to die. Until I saw that, in my mind I was like, oh, he's gonna try to have sex with her.
A little nasty little stuff. But I'm interested to see how that plays out. And I'm really hoping that episode 5 will be exciting and will give me a lot of what I'm looking for in this show.
Now, do you know why this is a question. I have the answer. Do you know why there's a lot of incest in this show?
So is it to keep the bloodline strong so they can keep Lasher near? Why the incest?
So to your response, I'm not going to say you're wrong. That makes sense. But specifically, according to the books, the part of the reason why Julian was an avid incester. How do you say
that? Close enough. Literally.
So part of the reason why was because he knew that, so males, right? So this is why Cyprian is important, or was important. So males with a strong enough gift who ended up having sex with other Mayfair women, their powers would grow. Okay, so that's part of the reason why Julian was trying to have sex with so many women. He wanted their powers to grow. He knew he wouldn't be there by the time Rowan got around, but they would have more powers. To what end? That's what I don't think I got far enough in the books to figure that part out. But yeah.
Okay, be a grower, not a shower. That would make sense though. Like Julian, I feel like Julian needs his own book. Like Julian got a lot going on. And it's just like, you my granddaddy, but you my lover. Like, I'm like, Julian, you slanging like that? Okay.
He must have had a piece. He must have had a piece.
Probably a couple of them. Might have prayed over it. Who knows?
Prayed over the D.
I'm just saying, because I'm like, we taking turns on. I'm like, oh, well, okay, I don't judge.
That's
You
when you
like,
know you got a good. And that was something that Julian did. I forgot about that. Julian would have orgies. Julian had orgies. Your
okay,
boy liked to he liked to slang it
with family.
with anybody,
Not anybody can get it.
male and female.
Listen, even Evelyn. When I was looking into her, like even though Julian was her paramour and that was her granddad, also Stella. That was a Stella. That was Evelyn's paramour. And I'm like, whoa. Like this
Yeah.
goes so deep, all pun intended.
So look, so Anne Rice really did a good job when she was describing Julian, like a really, really good job. So Julian, like everybody in town knew what Julian was on. Everybody knew. But a lot of people didn't like it. But anytime someone tried to confront him, Lasher got in their way, and Lasher would kill them. He didn't even know. Julian didn't even know half the time.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Baby. Again, Julian. Maybe we should have made him the protagonist because Julian is a mess. And I love seeing it play out and how Cortland just kind of just tucks his tail. Doesn't really know what to do with himself.
They made him a comedian. Have you noticed?
And I don't hate his accent in the show. I don't hate it. I do not hate it.
I'm not gonna say I like it.
I'm not gonna say I love it, but I don't hate it.
Better than the vampires.
And see, with that, you touched on it in 3, but in 4, flatlined. No other mention, so maybe they'll bring it back, in other episodes before they end out this season. Again, just colossal letdown, and especially because when you see Interview, they do such a stellar job of introducing the vampires, like consistently. Like, I mean, it's here, it's going up. As this, it was just like, and no offense to the amazing actor, I'm gonna say amazing, that comes into episode 3, but you don't pick the most attractive vampire, the most alluring. You just don't do a great job of that. You don't. You just don't. It's like everything that I know about vampires. It's just like I have no desire to have sex with this man. None. And that is always going to be my measuring stick. All pun intended. Like, I should want to sleep with you instantly. I got more of a female erection from Eddie Murphy and Vampire in Brooklyn than I did from the like, and that's a problem because that was definitely a comedy.
That was the apex of Eddie too. So he was looking good back then.
A girl wants to party all the time. All right, but either way, just saying, like,
You showing your age. Come on now, don't do it. Party all the time, party all the time. So you said this episode was a 7 for you, right?
For me, it's in a strong 7-ish range because it kept my attention. They were able to answer some of the questions, some of the drama. I enjoyed it. I did.
I think they did a better job with their story development. The acting was a bit better. I didn't appreciate, like, even though they made a big thing out of Cyprian shouting in the car, like it seemed kind of over the top given the situation for me. I don't know what your thoughts were about that, or even if it was something that you found memorable.
Shouting in the car whenever he was trying to go
He said,
over
no.
find a memory.
Uh-huh. Yeah, when he finally found it.
And this one is just like, whereas Cyprian is like a sex symbol for us, you're kind of more annoyed like what's going on, what are you doing versus just take off your shirt, you know? So I feel you.
Prance around naked.
Yeah, little
Which,
thing.
by the way, I want to say the character's name was Michael, but I'm probably wrong. Um, they had great sex. Rowan and in the book, Rowan with whatever character that Cyprian, his character was merged to create. They had great sex, and I loved their chemistry. I really, really did. And so to see what's happening with Cyprian's character, I am not here for it at all. It's like, yeah, we want to make it interracial, but we don't want it to last. And so we're gonna excuse me, we're gonna add this you know, and he's cute. And I ain't gonna lie, he's cute and sexy. The little white boy Lark.
Mhm.
He is cute and sexy. But it's like they just want to end it. Ooh,
That's cute.
what that say? Will Small's Essia? I don't know what that means.
It's Etia. It says, wait, are you saying Etia? Who's Etia? Explain, Will. Because we want to know how deep this rabbit hole goes. I want to know as much as possible because
Well, yeah,
I
yeah.
agree. I agree. Books, girls, and hers, they are missing a lot of context fluids. A lot. But again, in this episode, I'm less annoyed than the other ones. This time, Mayfair, which
A
creators?
cosign? Is that what he said? A cosign?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that the people who talk at the end? Esther? I don't know. I don't know. I still don't know who Esther is.
Look, we're gonna have to delve more into this over the next couple of episodes because, as we see, a coven with no magic. Mm. How absolutely, I'm gonna have to use my British accent for this. How absolutely dreadful! A coven with no magic. No, absolutely offensive.
Speaking of a coven with magic, oh yeah, we talked about it, but we hadn't made like plans. So I just want to, just what are your thoughts about covering a discovery of witches, even though the series has ended?
Let's do it. Look, listen. We've I will personally have started on a discovery of witches, and once I got over myself with some of the pieces that I didn't love as an American, the show is really really good. The show's really really good. Lasher is ungodly and weird. That's what the fans have been saying. First of all, okay, listen, Will.
No, he didn't say ungodly. He said oogly.
Oogly. Look, my auto brain has put it ungodly, not oogly. Listen, okay, because that's where I was about to go next. Listen, we were talking about it in season 1. Our measuring stick, all pun intended, it's always gonna be the sexual appeal. You know, are we gonna want to sleep with this character? And so Lasher is just not getting it up for us. It's not, and I'm not even gonna give him oogly. I'm not gonna do that. It's just not that. You just don't really have the desire to sleep with him. Books, girls, and purrs. We on the same page. We are. We are. Discovery is way better than Mayfair in so many different ways. So many.
Right, right.
What? Will, you messy. You messy. They say they got bed bugs. We don't want to be over here. This nasty. Y'all disgusting. We're not touching this cheap ass shit. Mm-mm.
The imitation.
This is Sam's. We don't want it.
Okay. Okay.
Love it.
Well, at least Books, Girls, and Purrs likes the idea that we will cover a discovery of wishes.
Yes,
Witches.
I'm with it. Let's do it because Mayfair, I'm giving it a chance. Listen, they did not. Hey, Allegedly, Naha or Nah. We sent the emails in. They did not switch them out. Email.
Wait, wait.
Not Rowan. Rowan is still pad a white lashing baby gets out. No, that's not how it goes. And so we just kind of talked about this in a minute with Jermaine saying, like, hey, you would have liked to see a little bit of variety and how these melanated characters look. And it was all wrong. If I see Rowan dust the lamp, you know what? That would probably be some of her best acting. Probably. Y'all funny. Y'all are so funny and messy. I love it. I love it. Rowan is just like she's pretty, but the minute she opened her mouth and start acting, like
I've seen her do way better. I don't know. I don't know
I
what's
think
going on.
everybody's seen her do way better. This is not it. You're gonna need more than some pretty eyes and a decent body to pull this role off. I agree with Girls and Pearls. Yes, Will is hitting all the right notes, all the messy notes, the messy high notes.
Yeah. So, what were your thoughts? Well, Books, Girls, and Purrs. You said you haven't watched season 2 yet, so I'm going to assume Will Smalls and allegedly Nah have seen season 2. What are your thoughts of these episodes?
Books, Girls, and Purrs says, I don't know why the main actress got the role. I'm not trying to hate Will Smalls. Just saying that
Incubus.
on YouTube, people said last year is Incubus and takes on, bro.
Oh, In Harmon. What? Okay. Do you remember In Harmon?
In Harmon.
It's like a blast from the past.
Okay. Come on, Blast.
Yeah. I feel like maybe about a year or so ago.
Well, welcome. Thank you for your commentary. We like it. We love it.
What are your thoughts of season 2 so far? Well, first, is season 2 better than season 1? Let's get that out of the way. Is season 2 better than season 1?
I'm going to impose my opinion. It is the fact. First of all, the fact that I even allowed this to happen is better.
So In Harmon says yes, it's better.
Yes, we were pissed consistently in every episode of season. Like, damn, y'all wasted film on this shit. It was offensive. Thank you. We agree. Me too. Me too. Me too. What's Girls and Purrs? I found out after season 1. I heard the house has a basement. And I'm gonna add a what the fuck in those. Did anyone do any research on this show? Yes. You remember I had an attitude. I was real mad. I was real tight. Like, seriously, first of all, they're below sea level, dummies. Why would you incorporate a basement? That's dumb as hell. Whoa.
You won't get they won't get off Lasher. They hate Lasher.
It was better until I seen Lasher. Lasher, his milk fetish, him making these women hemorrhage, and he wasn't even sexy. Like, I feel you. I did the same thing about the basement. Like, have y'all visited Louisiana? How many people you know with a basement in Louisiana? Hold on, I'll wait.
This is not gonna happen. We trying to get some air, baby.
It's stupid. It's gonna flood.
Exactly.
This show has riches of embarrassment, disrespectful, beyond disrespectful Books, Girls, and Purrs. Like, I really personally felt like the writers, the producers, everybody was flipping lazy for doing it. All right, Will Small says, yes, she locked Lasher in bigger in bigger basement than I have in Ohio. I was thinking of water levels and all the non-cemetery. I thought,
It's
maybe
no
it's
hills, baby. It's no hills.
no,
It's no hills.
no, it's not a thing. Again, and I'm here. I am here less than 80 miles from the Crescent City. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen down here in the boot, baby. A basement? No.
Y'all are funny. Y'all are funny.
A basement in Louisiana. And then in New Orleans.
Well, look, you had a question, or did you already ask your question?
Mm.
Go ahead and ask your question.
I don't remember the question I had.
Oh, you remember when we were texting? I was like, "Come up with a question."
Oh no, that was my question with Dolly Jean and Evelyn.
Oh, okay, okay.
Like, was it kind of ill placed or did it add? Listen, she wanted a favor. I'm gonna bring you the information you need in person.
In Harmon. In Harmon. Okay, so check this out.
Whoa. Oh, baby. Let me tell you something. If you haven't watched Interview with a Vampire and you've been wasting your time, take your AMC over to Interview with a Vampire and thank us later.
So look, before you get AMC, it's on Netflix. Season 1 is on Netflix. So you can watch season 1 on Netflix, and then you will understand why we love Interview with a Vampire.
Thank us later. Please thank us later. Because it is a stark difference, even down to being in New Orleans. I did not hate them. Oh my goodness. Oh, you didn't watch season 2.
Okay. So look, season 2 did not disappoint. Okay, so don't let episode 1 fool you. Don't let episode 1 fool you of season 2. You got to get to you got to get to episode 2. And then this is how it is. So if episode 1 is here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. By the end, it's like, have you ever just watched something and it thrilled you so much that you just came all by yourself?
Listen, you won't be disappointed. Watch it. Yes. You're gonna probably cry a little bit too. Listen, you so dang on nasty and disgusting. Don't change. You know, I almost want to get a t-shirt that says "Why Rowan" for so many reasons. It's just so many reasons, and I'm gonna have to hit up one of my t-shirt people because I have a t-shirt for everything. Probably gonna wear it.
Speaking of,
we're headed into February. Yes. But yeah.
Well, lots of holes, not the holes you want.
Not the right one.
The Day of the Jackal. I've never heard of it. Have you heard of it?
I have not.
Is it good?
I see jackals every time I go to work. But no, I haven't seen it.
Oh, there's more comments.
Picture that. So she'll drown immediately. Maybe that'll make her acting better. I don't know. I just,
She does like the water. She likes the water.
I'm with you, books, girls, and purrs. Please banish her. Look, Roma been mother for 2 weeks. She is not crushing the game at all. The acting was so flat and so bad.
But
And
I will say that episode 4 was much better than anything that we saw in season 1. So hopefully it gets better.
I agree. And which, of course, we know for me, one of my finest moments for this show altogether has been, hey, with Julian and the father, his daddy issues, and the cutting of the arm, the grotesque nature. I enjoyed that. To me, that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. 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 Any parting words?
Get it together. Shit. Come on, Talamasca. Do something, because that crossover for that vampire shit y'all did was weak as fuck.
You know what? After this, this is what they should have done. They should have, hopefully the Talamasca show is better than Mayfair, but they should have had Interview, then Talamasca, then Mayfair. Because it's only setting them up for people to not watch Talamasca.
It's true, at least for what they've been bringing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, start immediately, please. Please, please, please.
You will not be disappointed in Harmon. You will not be disappointed.
You're going to cry. You're definitely going to cry. Or at the very least have the urge to cry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And sex scenes.
It was a very attractive cast.
Well, she didn't lose the baby. That's Lasher. The baby is Lasher.
They came out unmelanated.
No, not a vampire. Lasher's a spirit of some sort, a demon.
Demon, yeah.
Well, y'all, I don't want to hold anyone up. Thank you all so very much for watching. We're going to cover episodes 5 and 6 2 weeks from now. Hopefully next week we will be covering a discovery of witches. Do you want to take it episode by episode, or how do you want to do that?
We can probably cover a couple of episodes at a time, but you guys let us know what works for you as well. We're open, we're flexible. You're welcome. Some of us are a little more flexible than others.
Yeah, I'm not as flexible as I used to be. It's always nice having you here, Books, Girls, and Purrs. Yeah. Thank you for joining us again, both Will Smalls and In Harmon. In Harmon, yeah, that's what it was. I feel like I don't remember what it was, but I know In Harmon used to comment a lot when we did reality shows. I feel like that's what it was. Thank you. Y'all, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and share. Until next time, y'all have a good one.